Gate 14 podcast. We are back. Tough day Friday. We lost a Canadian legend, a hero to some, Jordan Romano. Thank you for your service, King. Avery, how we feeling?
That one was tough to hear because we know why it happened. It was
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an elbow that works like it used to. Because if they had it, the optics for Ross and Mark are bad enough that they wouldn't want to cut the local kid who's been the closer when the team's been good as of late for no reason. They're just not they're not doing that. That's just not a thing that's happening.
For sure.
But very sad that it seems that Jordan Romano's elbow is cooked for right now. So
we have a good reason to believe, and this is out there. I mean, we knew about it, but this is out there. He threw a bullpen for the Toronto Blue Jays
last week,
and it might have not went as well as Rob Longley would think. It wasn't the greatest bullpen of all time, just to say that. It was a college showcase bullpen that the scouts were like, we're not going to give this guy an offer. That's what that essentially was.
Yeah, it was like, hey, show your stuff. And like, if we're in a good spot, we're in a good spot. We'll give you a contract for next year. And yeah, it's the casual fan. They're going to be mad about it. And we knew that was going to happen like that.
Yeah.
What they say, he was a 2-time All-Star, Canada's guy. Of course, they're going to be mad about it. But I think, overall, it in team building wise, again, you're not going to give a reliever $8 million to not play. It's just they've talked about some numbers like that frees up some space, and they have to get creative. Like if you're giving Jordan Romano that money and he wasn't going to be healthy for a majority of the season, doesn't make too much financial
It's just
sense.
stupid. And again, like I think majority of the takes online, I wouldn't say majority. I'd probably say half of them, a quarter of them, were sensible, good takes. Like there's something clearly wrong with them. But if you are a listener to the show and you are on the same side of a take as Ken Reed or Rob Longley, I'd probably reconsider and just maybe look at the facts again. Because Ken Reed was talking like the Jays slashed Romano's tire, shut out BK, and like legit was saying Italian slurs to him as he left the door, which just isn't the case. And the thing is, I can pretty much guarantee you if the Jays ended up giving Romano the $8 million and he sucked this year, Ken Reed would be the first one to want the Jays ownership in prison. And
it's like, how can you give this guy money to be hurt?
Yeah.
So I think from an the optics standpoint, it sucks. From hey, we know this guy's a good bullpen arm when he's healthy. We're just gonna let him go. That side of it sucks. But the real side is he's not healthy.
And the real side is you're gonna have to allocate $8 million to a guy who had a 6 ERA last year and whose elbow is kind of in shambles, and he's 31.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give the 6 ERA too much of a worry.
Well, no, again, I'm just saying in general, like the optics of it.
Yes, like again, 7.75 was a free agent next year, and in the past and thing, it's just like his injuries and elbow injuries, he's out. So, a guy who's been used a lot the last 3 years, like 60 games the last 3 years combined, or not combined. Each year, at least 60, 59 in 2023, obviously, but add it up, average it out over. He's a fucking awesome closer. He converted a ton of the save opportunities that he had while he was here. People hate their closers. It's a thing I will reiterate every time. People hate their closers because they blow games that you're leading, and you can't think of them properly. But again, Jordan Romano, was he not a Rule 5 pick?
Like, from the Rangers.
That's how you have to find other people. And that's where you have to lean on player development. Like this is a big point for them to get someone who's going to be good in the back end of that bullpen. Do I think we have next year's closer on the team? I think it's probably Chad Green, honestly.
No, I'm going to say we don't.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. It's a very good, if they sign Tanner Scott, sure, changes things.
I think the Jays, though, I really do. Bullpen wise, they signed a big name and then just build around like Rule 5 and like scrap guys that have played in the show before, I think.
Yeah, and they have some internal pieces that they're hoping they can hit. There's a name later on in this podcast that Swanee will talk about that he thinks is great, and guy who's in Double A Fall League, like in TJ Brock. So it sucks. It was a sad day to see it because even though we knew and we talked about on this podcast that hey,
Yeah.
if he doesn't get a contract, this is why. I still never really believed that it was going to happen. I
Yeah.
was just like Jordan Romano's going to be the Blue Jays next year, and
And
that
he
is
will be the closer.
exactly
Yeah.
who do you think they give the light show to? It'll just be the closer, right? But like,
Yeah.
you think
It's,
Chad Green gets a
it's
light show next year?
Chad Green will not get it. I guarantee you, just seeing the way Chad Green acts and there is no fucking way in hell Chad Green would agree to have a light show. There is not a chicken's dick chance in hell, Avery.
I like the light show and I like Romano's walkout. It was good. Let's
I
see what
liked it as well.
let's see what Chad Green walked out to last year.
Oh,
Um, a Brantley Gilbert song.
oh my God.
I'm seeing Chad Green Lost Soul's Prayer by Brantley
Oh
Gilbert.
my God. You think that dude's getting a fucking light show? Come on. Let's be
Yeah, that's
real
tough.
here.
What did you think? What did you think of it, John?
Yeah, listen, it sucks when you lose a guy who is essentially a staple for the team. When you think of the Blue Jays, two-time All-Star, the closer, Canadian, through fucking gas, very, very successful career as a Toronto Blue Jay. You think of Jordan Romano, man, and seeing him gone, it's weird. It's going to be very weird. But essentially, we saw him gone the entire 3/4 back half of last year anyways. He was never on the
I mean,
team.
yeah, he played in 15 games.
Yeah.
So
So
13 and 2/3 innings. It's weird though, because I immediately just think that he's going to have Tommy John. But there's if he's throwing a bullpen right now, there's
yeah.
there's no way that happened. What I think could have happened is like, hey, you had a slight tear, you tried to go the rehab route, and this is where he ended up at. And now it's okay. Maybe I'll find a team that'll give me a 2-year deal to be somewhere to
And it
rehab
might
it.
even be the Jays, Abe. It honestly might
For
even be
sure,
the
for sure.
Jays.
Yeah, I still don't see him being gone until he's
Well, actually
officially
signed with
signed
another
with
team.
another team. Yes,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
I would take him. I would take him back. He'd be what 30?
32.
Yeah, well 32 this time next year, and then his
Yeah.
birthday's in April, so he'd be 33 years old coming back from Tommy John.
Yeah.
And you see some guys doing what Kirby Yates had 100 saves this year, right? Like
Yeah, he was
someone
good.
else like that, you can be successful at. I don't think his career's done. I think there's got to be a procedure or something on the horizon as to why this didn't happen.
Yeah, and I think that'll come out sooner than later, with what happened. But yeah, it's weird. It's gonna be weird. And I talked about this in the Swanson interview that's coming up here. This is gonna be a completely different baseball team next year. Like
Bullpen wise,
bullpen wise, I can even make the case potentially even lineup wise.
who do you think is in Buffalo to start the year?
Uh hmm.
Like Leo, you put there.
Leo,
Barger, you probably put there.
Barger,
Maybe,
Knight
maybe Davis if you have.
to get everyday reps, right?
Maybe it depends who you sign. Like if you're signing a corner guy, maybe
Yeah.
that's who it is.
Yeah.
What he has the ability to play the infield too, so maybe
Yeah.
that sounds like Wagner's gonna make the team right away.
Oh, I think Wags is a shoe in to make the team.
Yeah, they like him
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe that is Davis on that, but that's just they don't sign anyone
Unless
obviously.
if he just rakes in the spring, then
For sure. Hey, they
like
if you are good, they will put you on the team. They have
yes.
that many opportunities. So
Yes.
we know he's good. And again,
I
he's
think
got
Barger's a guarantee. I have a hot take. I think Addison Barger is not a Toronto Blue Jay in 2025.
interesting. Okay.
I think
What
he's the clear guy that gets traded first.
you think so?
Yeah.
You don't think it's the Rodens?
I fuck it. Send Roden and him packing. I don't give a shit. I I am not Roden pilled. I'm
Yeah.
sure he's great.
He's a good hitter. He can hit. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of things comparable wise to what Horwitz does at the big league
Yeah.
level. So there's that as well. Again, on the front of some of the free agents, we're not going to get huge movement until Soto signs, I don't think.
Yes. Which
Teams
is
that are in the running for Soto are teams that are good for the most part. And they're going to want to fill out their teams after. So as soon as Soto signs, then those teams who can't pay them, who are
like
going
2 weeks.
yeah, who are going to be competitive, then they spend a little bit more to get guys because they didn't get Soto. So again, I don't think many of the movement is going to happen until Soto happens, just like
Yeah.
Otani last year.
Yeah. I think we're 2 weeks away. Who's at the top? And obviously, and Soto aside, who is at the top of your priority wish list in terms of free agents? Like, who is the guy you want? The
See,
number one guy.
I can't put my name to that because there's so many guys that you can acquire their skill sets and be good. So there's a guy that I've been looking into, and as Michael Conforto might help here. The guy who went to a place where you can't hit, hard to hit for power in San Fran, right? Like
Yeah. One of the
right
hardest
field
parts.
there. They were in the Conforto talks before he went to San Fran as well, if I believe correctly.
I think they were, yes.
That could be wrong again, but I thought they were in those talks, and I think they could rekindle that maybe. There was a guy who put a tweet out. I'll retweet it. Just like second half stats aren't everything, but coming off like the shoulder injury, finally starting to get healthy again.
Yeah.
Conforto, yeah, back to it. Good barrel percentage, good OPS at the end of the year. Kind of found something. Again, you can lose it at the start of the next year, but he was a guy who kind of found something. Jock Peterson, I just don't think will play in Canada
No, he won't. He's a
because
West Coast guy, I think.
yes,
I think
every team he's played for, besides the Braves, where he got traded,
yes.
I
And yeah,
get,
that wasn't his idea.
or
Like,
was he? Did he sign with the Braves? Because he got traded to the Cubs, right? I'm
I
all
don't
fucked up.
remember.
Cubs and Braves, whatever. But every team he's signed with, I believe, has been West Coast, and he's
Yes.
just gonna run through the West Coast teams if he has to.
Yes. He's
Um,
gonna sign somewhere in the West.
I think
Like
so too.
probably D-backs again or something like that. Right?
Yeah, Giants.
Yeah. Giants probably as well. I just can't see a world. Why would you ever fucking want to play in San Fran? Like it's so hard to hit there.
Yeah, it is tough, but they have money to spend. That's why you
Yeah.
go and play there.
Jay's got money to spend too.
Yep.
It is we're approaching 4 weeks now without a transaction for the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm gonna lose my mind, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the guys who got tendered contracts?
Who isn't it just Swanee?
Swanee and Zach Pop.
Zach Pop, I won't talk, I won't discuss.
Zach Pop, if he goes somewhere else, will be the sickest reliever in
Oh,
baseball.
easily. They'll turn him into fucking K-Rod.
Yeah,
Uh
really sick. And then Swanee again. We'll say this before the interviews aired. I'm happy for what he has. He showed he could get back to what he was
yeah, and he
from the year.
got back to what he was that second half of the season. He was special.
And again, it's a $3 million contract.
Yeah, like
You can
the
take the
Romano
chance on
1-8. Like
someone who
people under the Jays post, like going, really? You brought this guy back to the Romano? Yeah, it's about a $5 million difference, dickhead.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it
and
was.
Swanee's arm is fine. Like, just shut up, honestly.
Yep.
Another good acquisition. Johnny Junta has acquired Invisalign. As you can tell, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice.
You can't hear any. I promise you can't hear anything.
I just again like someone put it in my head that you could like you have like a lisp with it. And now it's all I ever think about. It's like, fuck, do I have a lisp when I'm talking now? But I'll say it. Like I'm popping Tylenols, my mouth hurts so fucking bad right
Oh
now.
yeah.
Like it is stinging.
But think about if you had braces, you could never take them out if it got that
Exactly.
bad.
That's why I'm just like like just get a little give and take. But yeah, it hurts a fuck ton. But in 6 months, they said I think June 1st, I think is the date, or a little bit before that.
You'll
Perfect
be
teeth.
locked, man.
So stay tuned for that.
My girlfriend booked our dinner reservations for my birthday at Jacob's. So I'm gonna see what I'm gonna see what Jacob's is all.
Really?
I'm gonna see what it's all about.
You're tapping into the Jacobs game.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if it's actually good or it's close to the diamond, so everyone goes there and they like it.
Okay. I'll be looking for a review. Your birthday is coming up here. The infamous Johnny sick day.
Yeah, Johnny say heard around the world. Yeah, that is true.
Oh, another thing I wanted to discuss. I'm a Gracie Abrams truther. I talk
Okay,
all the
fuck
time.
Gracie Abrams. Who cares? K14 awards. We think are this week.
They should be this week. I forgot. Oh, speaking of that, I forgot to put the Bowden Francis just ruined an award. But
No,
yeah.
I sent it to our guy.
Oh, you already did.
Yeah, I don't worry, man. I got it handled.
Okay. So yeah, the Gate 14 awards hopefully Wednesday. I believe
Yeah.
I said in the tweet. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we'll be doing it in the same area performed by my queen. So if you are a listener to this podcast and you have a backbone or a spine, you will be listening to Gracie Abrams.
It was
This
weird to see all the TikToks inside the Rogers Center and no baseball being played.
Yeah, but I'm starting to think here, Jays might go on a run next year. The Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, good luck. Taylor Swift went to Miami. The Dolphins haven't lost a game since.
Wow.
Something to think about. So maybe
That
the
has nothing
Jays
to
are
do
going
with
to have
their
the
quarterback coming back from the
Well,
dead.
that might be a factor of it, but yeah. So for all my Grace heads out there, just know Johnny Junta's a rider, and I was the first one. I was getting ridiculed online
You
for being
discovered
late
it first?
for being late to the party. You're never late to the party. Okay. You a little bit, you like take things slow. And I'm a Gracie Abrams believer, and that's my entire TikTok page now. So I'm locked in. But yeah, I'm excited for the Gate 14 Awards Wednesday. Excited for you guys to hear the Erik Swanson interview. Pretty much, I mean, here seeing behind the curtain with the Toby incident was cool to like just kind of see what like how awesome it is that he bounced back, Toby, and like he's playing hockey now, and he's being able to be a child again, which is the beautiful part of it. So obviously it was cool to hear it from that perspective and how well he's doing right now. And Schwanny's the fucking man, dude. One of the first ever Jays players to kind of jump on the Gate 14 ship. So we'll always ride for Erik Swanson.
Yep. Always. Yeah, I think that's all we got. You want to send it to Swanee?
Yeah, we'll send it to the Swanee one and then potential midweek pod if something happens, but I fucking doubt it. We will see you guys next Sunday.
Do we have anyone lined up next Sunday, or do we want to guarantee an hour with Johnny and Ave?
Yeah, we could do it could be you and I.
All
Hopefully we have more shit to talk about.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. Love you guys. Gate 14 forever. Jordan Romano, thank you for your service, my Italian king. Gate 14 podcast, and ladies and gentlemen, he's back. Our guy, Erik Swanson, returns to the Toronto Blue Jays and returns to the Gate 14 podcast. Swanee, how you feeling, man? I mean, that must feel like an insane relief when you got that call on Friday.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, feeling good. Yeah, it's obviously a little bit different a year this year, so it's nice to have it figured out in November and not have to wait till January. So it's good. It's good.
Do you have to wait right up until the deadline to get that news?
Yeah, kind of figure it out like the day of type of thing. Going back and forth a little bit and just trying to figure some stuff out. And, it ended up working out, so I'm pumped.
A little bit of I mean, you got paid, pal. I mean, get your kids, go to Toys R Us, load the cart up and get whatever the fuck they want. That's what we got to do now. But how did that feel? I mean, obviously just a weird year, but you kind of the back half of the year, which we will talk about, you figure it out. You look back, you look like your old self, and then you get paid by the Toronto Blue Jays, and they decide to keep you and kind of build their bullpen kind of around you and Chad Green, to be honest. So what was that like when you immediately got that call or you immediately found out they're bringing you back and they're offering you? And they're not non-tendering you or whatever. I don't even know how to fucking say it properly.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was like you said, it's a sigh of relief for sure. Obviously, there was a lot of uncertainty going into it. I think everybody knows this. There was no secret there. I think they saw kind of how I bounced back the second half, got back to myself, and ended up working it out. So I think going into next year, we got a lot more to prove, but it'll be good. It'll be good.
A lot of stuff that happened this year was like out of your control as well. Has it had to have been the toughest year mentally for you? You feel you're on the other side of it. You're better as a person after all of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of a challenging year for sure. A lot of obstacles to overcome, but we took a little break for a while and then spent a little time in Buffalo. Got back to ourselves and kind of just got through everything, which was good. And it was a nice little reset. So yeah, I'm in a good spot. Feel good. Feel confident. Pretty much the whole second half, I was feeling good.
Doesn't baseball just have an insane way to humble you? I mean, you're the best. You were the best reliever on this team in 2023. You come back in 2024, just insane obstacles. You struggle, then you get right back to where you were in 2023. Like, what did you learn about yourself this year that made it like that at the end of the day made it kind of worth it because you got to deal with a roller coaster of a season, baseball wise?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, a lot of obstacles to overcome this year. I think the biggest thing is just knowing that I guess whatever's thrown at me, I'm gonna be able to figure it out and get through it. It's been the first time in a while in my career that I've struggled. So it was a little bit of a learning curve trying to take a step back and really get down to business and figure out what I needed to do. But no, we did it and we got through it. So I've learned a lot this year, and I think for the long run, career wise for me, I think a lot of the stuff that I went through this year is only going to better me. So it's good.
When the struggles happened first half of the season, do you think at the end of the day it was mental stuff, it was more mechanic stuff, or what was the big kind of cue to get you back on track, you think?
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, I'd be sitting here lying to you if I said it wasn't, but you know, it's one of those things where at times I feel like I try to just power through stuff, and that was one of those times where I felt like I needed to just keep going and thought at some point that it was just going to figure itself out instead of really like taking a step back and dissecting the situation and figure out, all right, we got some mechanical adjustments that we need to make here. We need to make them quick. Because like you said, baseball's got a way of humbling you. It snowballs quick when it does. At some point, everybody's going to get punched in the mouth. It's just the way it is. But it's being able to try to figure those things out and get back on track again. And I think there was a point where I felt like I was just trying to prove people wrong and just power through stuff instead of going about it a little bit more strategic. And I got a lot of people that I need to, and I can obviously give a lot of credit to this year that stuck with me and helped me figure some stuff out. But yeah, it was just trying to get a couple things dialed back in, and when we figured those out, we were rolling again. So
I'm assuming we're one of those people. But
of course.
but I wanted to bring this up because it's something that I deal with because I consider you a good friend of mine, and seeing the way people talk about you on social media, especially after you have been the best reliever on this team in 2023 and bounced back in 2024 and was a bright spot in a very bad bullpen in 2024. How hard is it for you? And maybe even if you don't think about it, or you just say you don't think about it, but how hard is it for you that you have to prove yourself to a fan base essentially after you've already done way more than enough? You led the team in innings pitched. You had a sub-3 ERA the year before. Does that sometimes get to you a little bit as well, knowing that there's going to be some fans out there that are going to hate no matter what, even though you were a massive part of a bullpen that was really good in 2023?
I mean, that's just the way it is, right? It doesn't matter who you are. I think as a Blue Jay, I think just we have very unique situation with fans.
Yeah.
We have some of the best fans in the world that, we have one country essentially that all roots for the same team. So there's a lot of people that are passionate about it. But I think a lot of times people will just kind of look at the exterior things and they'll just look at statistics, right, for a short amount of time. And understandably, when guys go through rough patches, the game's a little bit different now, right? We got social media. It's super easy for people to get on and talk shit on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it might be. That's just part of it. It doesn't really bother me because 90% of the people that will type something about it don't really understand the whole story of it, I guess. It is what it is. It doesn't bother me. I get stuff all the time. I think you and I have talked about that before too.
Yeah.
Most of it I just kind of laugh at because it's kind of funny. But yeah, and obviously my situation's a little bit unique too because I came here for a guy that was loved by the entire country of Canada. Great baseball player. So yeah, I think that carries a lot of weight in it too. So it's like as soon as something goes south, it's quick to the punch. Which you're a fan, you're allowed to be passionate, do whatever you want. But yeah, some of it is a little bit comical, but it's part of being in our shoes.
Yeah.
We came and talked this time last year after you'd thrown, well, I'm seeing here 66 innings. You were in 70 games. Do you feel like you had fatigue going into spring training as well? Because you talked about, oh, you feel great, but you were probably up in half the games they played that year, right? Do you think
Easily.
the body took it well? Because you look at, like, it was the Tommy John thing for all the guys who threw the most innings. It was like Sandy Alcantara, Manoah, all those guys got hurt the year later. How do you feel that workload was for you and feeling your body bounce back for the next year?
I mean, I was good. Obviously, as the season goes on that long, you throw in that many games, you're going to have a stretch at some point to where you're going to be hanging a little bit. And you're trying to do everything you can to make sure you're bouncing back. I felt great going into spring training. I went down to Florida the beginning of January. Was working out at the complex, doing everything I needed to do. Was in great shape. Arm was feeling great. Throwing pens, throwing IBPs, ahead of schedule. I felt great. I went through the injury there towards the end of camp. Took a little bit of a step back and just kind of, got hit around when I came back and went downhill for a little bit. So it wasn't anything I don't think that had to do with the workload from the year before. Body felt great, and I feel the same way this year. I felt great towards the end of the season. Plan on doing the same thing. I'll be down in Florida again a month early, get in some warm weather, get out of this cold weather. Now it'll be good.
Dude, yeah, I mean it was the spring training was weird too. You had Kevin Gossman miss a pretty decent amount of time in the spring as well. The Bo Bichette injuries, Varsho missed some of spring training. It was just a very, very weird spring training going into the year. But we talked about when you found it again, which was like halfway through the season after that Buffalo trip. How awesome did that feel to just be like, holy fuck, I am back? And did you have a moment or a game or a pitch you threw where you specifically remember where you're like, yeah, I'm starting to like feel this again, like feel carving again?
Yeah, for sure. When I got to Buffalo, I mean, I was getting my shit kicked in right away. So it was like you go from struggling in the big leagues and then you get down to AAA, and it's the same thing that's happening all over again, if not worse at the time. And I was like, holy shit, we got to figure something out. And it was just like, it was a little bit of a subtle mechanical adjustment that I needed to make. And we figured that out. And it was like 2 days of me playing catch with that little bit of an adjustment that everything just kind of like sank back in. And I eliminated all those ridiculous misses that I was having. And it was like the one or two games right before the All-Star break had came about that it was like, okay, like I got to figure it out. I'm back to exactly where I need to be. This feels great. It's funny how like just a little thing like that can click so fast. And for me, that's what it was. So now it's great because I can go back and I'm like, all right, if anything ever happens again, now we know right away. Instead of it taking, a few games to figure out, it takes one outing. And it's like, all right, I got that in my notebook now. Like I know what adjustment that I need to make, and now we're right back where we need to be.
What was the adjustment?
I was drifting too much. Like, so I have a really big hip turn essentially. When I bring my leg up, and it was something just as subtle as just being more compact to the body instead of getting super far back and just swinging open, because I was more like hinging everything. And as I was doing that, everything was flying and I just wasn't able to catch up with my arm. That's when you were seeing all those splitters that were hanging up and going in the batter's box. Fastballs that I'm missing up and away, way out of the zone. And it was as soon as I kind of had that figured out and I got back to it and was just driving to the plate, it was like night and day difference. All my misses went from here to here. it was good.
That must feel absolutely electric. But what was the moment for you? Because the listeners don't know the story. So as you know, I fucking fight to the death for you on social media. I would tweet your stats when you would go on scoreless streaks, and you would give up a run every single fucking time I would do that. And I remember one day you texted me, you're like, no more tweets until the end of the season when the sample size is done that I'm pitching good again. Because every fucking time you do that, I give up a run. How awesome was it for you, though, to kind of go through those stretches again at the big league level? Because we talked about it, like you were pitching well in the minors, but how awesome was it to kind of go back up to the big leagues and have that success you were having in 2023? Because you were shoving that back half of that season.
No, it was great. Yeah, I mean, back to the whole you screwing up my stats for the year, but yeah, it was what, 3 outings in a row, I think, that you tweeted something out.
It was 5. I remember specifically it was 5, and it was like 6. It was like 5.1 innings, I want to say. It was like a small sample. I was doing narrative ball, but
Yeah.
like I had to do it because I was like, everyone just shut the fuck up online. That's essentially what I was doing.
I had seen like the last 2 you tweeted out, and then I saw the last one. I was like, all right, we got to cut that out. We got to get rid of that right now. But no, it was good. I mean, it's, I think most people, when they look at me, they're like, man, that must have been such a relief to get back to doing it. And it's like, I mean, yeah, in a sense, but in my mind, I think differently than what somebody else is going to think if they're just go through it. I don't just lose that overnight. I don't lose the ability to be really, really good in the big leagues over the course of an off season for whatever reason. And I knew that. So yeah, it was frustrating going through that stretch, but at the same time, it's like, we're right there. You're not just gonna lose that. And that's what I kept telling myself the entire time. So when it happened, it was just kind of like, all right, like this is exactly what I knew was going to happen. I was going to get back to doing exactly what I've done in the past, and we were going to be good. So yeah.
So you got some time in the minor leagues. This Blue Jays bullpen is going to look a lot different this year. Who is a guy that you think is great, someone you think has great stuff that no one's talking about, that you think can help contribute in a big way to this bullpen this upcoming season?
Yeah. There's a few guys that were down there when I was there. They had a lot of guys that were, I don't even know if they're there still, guys that are on, minor league deals, usually for a season, trying to get bounce back deals or whatever. But let's see who's there. I'm trying to think who's there that's on our roster.
Because one guy that really stood out to us, and we're biased because he's a friend of the show, like I think Ryan Burr is really fucking good.
Oh yeah, you're talking about guys that are up right now.
Anyone, man.
Oh yeah, Burr's nasty. I mean, I think you look at the guys that got opportunities that second half of the season and really ran with it. I don't think this guy's even underrated anymore, but I think you look at Brandon Little. I mean, everybody got a glimpse at what he can do. Stud lefty that is just super uncomfortable at bat for guys. And I mean, he's going to be throwing a lot of innings, and he's built to do it too. The guy's a freaking animal. Burr obviously as well. I think Burr showed exactly what he can do in the big leagues. He got an opportunity and kind of took it and ran with it. Tommy Nance, that was there for, I don't know, how long was he there?
Like 2 months, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, like month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah,
he had a killer stretch too. I think there's guys that are in our system as well. I think we got some guys that are at the lower levels that are doing well. I was just kind of guy that I got a little bit close with in spring training, TJ Brock. He's at AA this year, played in the fall league, had a really good fall league. He's got nasty shit. He'll be up at some point. He'll be able to help a team stay healthy. Trying to think. I don't know guys' statuses, who's guys that aren't with us anymore, but Hayden Yanger was there for a little bit. He's got good shit. I think you see it every year with every club that you might have some guys that are in AAA and AA that might not be on your radar right away. And all it takes is that opportunity. They come up and then they turn into, a stud. It
Yeah.
happens every year. And that's just kind of the life of being a reliever.
Yeah, and speaking about the bullpen, on Friday we got the news that Jordan Romano was non-tendered by the Toronto Blue Jays. What was it like during your time to be teammates with Romano? Because everyone loves him. The dude rips darts in the fucking clubhouse after that wild playoff clinch, which is one of my favorite videos of all time as well.
Yeah.
What was Jordy like, man? I mean, a Canadian guy, almost the saves leader for the Toronto Blue Jays, sub-3 ERA during his career, just an absolute dog during his time here.
Yeah, Romy's the best, man. He's, you don't get guys like that often. He's one of those guys that is just to the core, a great person, great dude. Funny as hell, great to be around, likes to have a good time. I mean, I talk to him, weekly still right now. Yeah, that one's tough, but he'll land on his feet. Obviously, selfishly, I hope it's back here. I hope they figure something out. But Romy's the best. He's a guy that I'll probably be friends with for the rest of my life. That's for sure.
Yeah, it seems about the most Canadian person of all time too.
Oh yeah,
like a good representation of what we have up here.
Yeah.
And again, I saw something. Gossman's wife posted this. Was your wife at the Eras tour, the Taylor Swift thing? Like, what was the deal with that, or the tickets, or what happened there with that? I saw that.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few wives that ended up going. I know the Gosmans went. Well, they all had to figure it out last year when they got released because obviously this pretty big deal. Those tickets sell out pretty quick. So I think everybody that went all got that stuff last year, and then they were just planning on going. But yeah, my wife went up with some friends from back home, spent the weekend there. I had no interest in going, but she ended up going there. Had a good time. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that they kind of all just did individually or what the deal was, but yeah, she's had that plan for a while.
Okay. How do you feel about your Winnipeg Jets right now?
What'd they start out? Best record in
NHL history.
Best start in NHL history.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing solid right now. I'm actually about to go up to a game here next month. So
hell yeah. Cool. And by the way, I don't know if this is breaking news. I see in your story, it's the cutest thing ever. Toby's locked in hockey now. Toby, your son is playing hockey. What is like the early stages like? Is he a great skater? Is he a little bit laying the body a little bit out there? Like, what's he like on the ice?
He's progressed pretty well. He's in tiny mites right now. I know in Canada you guys' levels are a little bit different, but he's in tiny mites right now, and it's just a bunch of 4, 5, 6-year-old kids skating around. Some of them are really fucking good. Some of them are still figuring it out, but that's kind of how he was. He was like last winter we got him out and he had a little bit of interest, but it was like I try not to pry too much because when he went out, I want him to have fun. I wasn't just gonna force him out there. And for whatever reason, when we got home this year and we started skating, he was all about it. He's doing good. It's fun to see him out watching other kids because he pays attention to what they do. And then he'll kind of try to start some stuff, but he's doing good, man. He's skating pretty well now, and now we just got to work on his stick handling a little bit.
Do you think that's his favorite thing? Is he that over baseball?
I'll almost guarantee you he'll play hockey over baseball. He'll play baseball.
Yeah, you can do both, which is good.
Like where we live here, hockey is king. It is above everything else, and he will play baseball, but hockey is it is a very big deal here.
That's so good, man. It's again, I don't know if my parents will attest to this, but the younger ages is the funniest part of watching hockey. Like, especially if it's your kid, just not really giving a shit about the puck, essentially just copying what they do in the NHL, just trying to lay body on the ice, open ice hits. Does he enjoy watching hockey too, or is he just like playing it?
If we're there, like if we're watching like high school or whatever play, he enjoys doing it. He won't sit on the couch and watch an NHL game. No way. But yeah, no, he loves it. It's funny when he first started going out, like these last couple of weeks, he'll just skate as fast as he can and he'll just slide. Like he's sliding into second base. I'm like, buddy, we're playing hockey here. We're not playing baseball. It's like, you got to try to stay on your skates. He's like, but it's fun.
It is fun, like being on the ice doing all that. I have a take that I've been sitting on recently. There's this big thing going out where they go to like high school age kids. They go to them in a training facility playing baseball and they don't know any history. How many guys in the big leagues kind of don't know anything about the sport they play, like history of the sport at all? Because there's guys like that who kind of don't know shit. They've just been really good at the sport their whole lives.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about too. The kids that go around, they show a picture of somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, this happens everywhere.
Yeah. I think you'd be surprised with how many guys in the big leagues like have no idea what happened 15 years ago.
Huka Nakua just found out he played in the NFC South.
That's a little bit insane.
Yeah.
That's a little bit insane, just to be fair. That's crazy.
Well, I'm not going to name any names, but there are guys that I've played with that don't know which teams are on National League, American League. I'm not joking. And I think it is way more prevalent than people think. There's a lot more people who have no idea what the hell's going on.
And speaking about guys you used to play, there's a growing conspiracy theory that it is impossible or near impossible to hit in Seattle. During your time there, was that something that players would always complain about? Is like, I can't see shit right now when I'm in the batter's box. Is that a normal thing that everyone always complains about?
You would hear it, but then you see guys that come to Seattle and it's like, well, how is he hitting career 380 here with 40 home runs? And I don't know. I'm not a hitter, so I'm not gonna sit here and bash on what guys are seeing, what they're not seeing. But you would definitely hear about it. People would complain that it's tough to see the ball there or whatever. But yeah, I don't know what the deal is there. If that was the case, then it was great for me because it helps me out.
How do the pitchers feel about the new dimensions of the Rogers Center second year through it?
Yeah, I mean, I've only played with really the new dimensions. Obviously, the outfield walls changed last year, and then this year the foul territory walls changed a little bit too. I don't know. I don't know if I really am going to say that I can see a difference in them. Might have to play one more year to really get a feel for that or figure it out. But was it last year when I came in, they were talking about how they thought offensive numbers were just going to soar.
Yeah.
And that just was not the case. Like that wasn't even close to being the case at the Rogers Center. It's more, I think it's one of the most pitcher friendly parks in baseball now, right, Dave? By park factor?
I don't think that's totally true, but it's more pitcher friendly than before. Yeah.
I was gonna say it almost like swayed the other way, I think.
Yeah, it did. It went the wrong direction.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the just all of like the changes they made to the stadium? I mean, I've seen pictures of the weight room you guys have, the cages, like underground stuff. It is ridiculous how much shit you guys have. Like it is insane. Is it in your opinion one of like the nicest ballparks for the players in baseball as of right now?
I can almost guarantee it's the nicest. It is like our facilities that we have. I can't think of anywhere else that would even come close to it. I think Texas would be the newest ballpark that's been built. And I've walked through their, I guess, part of their stuff a little bit, and theirs is really nice too. But you walk through our clubhouse, and I think anybody that goes in there that's been elsewhere is probably like, this is definitely the nicest place in the big leagues. I think it's probably one of the nicest facilities in North American sports.
It's insane.
Not just baseball.
The weight room, I haven't seen pictures of like the spring training weight room facility you guys have. It's insane. Yeah. It's like I like they really dump in. Hopefully we can get a massive free agent with this with all these renovations, because it is truthfully insane. But we talk about other players that you also played with. I wanted to kind of just get your thought process, or just what was it like for you during his time here playing with Yusei Kikuchi, because I don't think we talked about him on the last pod we had you on. What was Yusei like in the locker room? Because we've heard nothing but hilarious stories of him just being the funniest dude ever.
Yusa is the best, man. We came up together in Seattle. I was with him for 4 years? 19, 20, 21.
He was here in 22.
Yeah, like I said, 3 years I was with him. He's the best, man. He's so freaking funny. Just awesome dude. Always put a smile on everybody's face, joking around, just doing outrageous shit. But then like the baseball side of him, like when it's time to lock in, like you don't ever see anybody that's more locked in than him. When he's ready to work and he works, it's like, where was the guy that I just saw 5 minutes ago? Cooch is the best, man. He's awesome. And I think anybody will tell you the exact same thing. But he's always kind of been the same guy. When I played with him in Seattle, it was the same way. Like super outgoing, will always talk to you. And the exact same guy in Toronto. It's cool.
And he had great English, right? Like you could understand everything he was trying to say from when he talked to us.
Yeah. So I went 2 years then without playing with them. Or no, just 1 year, 22. And even from that gap in time from Seattle to Toronto, his English has improved a ton. From 19 when he came here to where he's at now, you can have a full-blown conversation with him. It's pretty impressive.
We talk about a lot of the time. We've had Loperfido, Horwitz on, and they talked about the fantasy team. Are you in that league?
Oh yeah.
What's the status of your team? Are you a wagon, or are you just kind of getting shit pumped?
Let's see. This week,
by the way, it's bullshit that you got Loperfido and Horwitz doing dual manager. Like
I think that might help them more than it, or might hurt them more than it helps them.
No, two brains better than one.
It's no, it's done by service time. So we only have a certain amount of slots in for guys who want to play.
Yeah.
So if we have too many guys that want to play, then if you get the lowest amount of service time, you got to team up with somebody.
How'd you guys determine first picks this year?
We had our grounds crew run timed from second to home. And each one of us pulled a name out of the hat, picked who we got, and just blindly went stopwatch, and that's who it was.
Have you guys come up with the punishment yet?
We haven't, but I was just about to read to you. So I'm playing Bassett this week. And for the record, Bassett's team is absolutely horrendous. Terrible. This guy is going to be doing our punishment.
Yeah.
He's 2-9. Kevin Gosman is the number one spot right now, and there's 5 of us tied at second, 7-4. So we got solid stretch coming up here, but yeah, Bassett's going to be doing something. So stay tuned for that.
That is so good, man.
Because it was Meza who did the Bat Boy, right?
Yep.
Yes,
yep.
The Meza Bat Boy. That, you know what's crazy is, and we never had the privilege of having him on the podcast, but every single guy that comes on this podcast talks about how awesome Tim Meza is. Like Whit Merrifield talked about it. Is he were you and Tim were close, I believe, right? Your kids were close as well?
Yeah. Timmy's awesome too. He, another guy that I'll say I'll probably be friends with for the rest of my life. Me, Romy, and Tim were pretty tight. When I came over here, that's kind of who I gravitated towards right away. Our lockers were next to each other in spring training. We all got pretty tight. Our wives got close. Obviously, Tim and I both have kids, and they would play with each other. But Tim's awesome. Great guy. He's about one of the best that they come. He's awesome.
Last year we had a big change in your pitch mix from the year before. Went like 50% fastballs instead of 50% splitters. You think we're going back to splitter heavy Swanee coming up this next season?
Yeah, that's kind of funny that you say that, because I've had that conversation a few different times. I think that number is a little bit skewed, because the way I look at it is I threw way more sliders the second half than I ever had. I was messing around with a new grip, felt like I finally figured out what's a really good slider for me that plays very well. So I was kind of just ripping it, because I was like, the splitter's where I need it to be. Fastball was good. My velo ticked up this year, which is kind of what I expected. And I kind of pulled off the splitter a little bit. And I think you saw towards the end of the season, I started going back to it again. Just because I wanted to throw that slider, and I felt like it's perfect time to do it. You know, my numbers aren't getting any better. They are what they are. And
Yeah.
you know, let's work on some shit. So we got 3 pitches next year instead of 2 pitches.
That'll play.
We can have you starting. Fuck. Next thing.
Get him some starts.
Yeah, maybe I should. I used to do it.
But have you heard of some of the name change or not name changes, the number changes from some guys on the team this year? You hear some of the number changes?
Like uni numbers?
Yeah.
No.
Ernie Clement took Soto's number because I'm assuming he wants to get a house paid for when the Jays signed Soto. So he took Soto's number. Ernie Clement's 22.
That's a veteran,
and Spencer
veteran
Horwitz.
move.
Spencer Horwitz is number 3. First baseman number 3. It kind of threw me off when he told me that. So that's not sure if I'm a fan of number 3 for a first baseman, but yeah. Which one do you prefer? Are you fine with Ernie kind of alphing Juan Soto there with that number?
That's a veteran move right there, because I think you look at you know, hopefully we're in the mix for him, and Ernie's like, you know what, I'm gonna take number 22 because hopefully we go out and sign him. I might get a little something for it. So I like it. I like it. Smart play, Ernie.
He also said he hated his number as 28, which is like a totally normal number too.
Yeah, it's 28's like Arenado, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty normal number. I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, if you're like number 72 or something, then yeah, I get it.
Like Horwitz's, I get. Like Horwitz was what number was he, Avery? Like
48.
48. Like that's.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I don't know if I play with that, but have you already thought about the walk-up song this year out of the pen? Because Bassett texted us randomly in April and he goes, "Are you guys at the game tonight?" We said yes. He said, "Listen to my walk-up song." And it was like the slowest Luke Combs, or was it Luke Combs?
It was.
Like,
it was
Bassett,
ass.
dude. I was like, what the fuck are we doing, dude? Like,
Yeah.
everyone in our section was like, what is this? Have you thought about that?
I'll ride with the same one. One of the two. I had the one that I started the season with. I had it forever, my entire career. And when I came back up, I was like, all right, we got to switch it up. We got to go with something different. And Luke Combs came out with a new song for the movie Twister. So I went with that, started pitching well. So I was like, all right, we got to ride with this. It's going to be one of the two. I'll either ride with that again or I'll switch back to the other one. We'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah, the song that Bass picked, terrible. And I told him too, I was like, man, you gotta find a new song. But I was like, I also get it too. Like if it gets you fired up, like who cares?
That can't get anyone fired up. Like, that's emotional.
Can't get anyone fired up. I didn't even, when I heard it the first time, I think we vlogged it, Abe, because it was in the vlog. We sat in the premium lounge. I was like, what the fuck what is this? Like, because I think he had a sick one before. I think he had like a high tempo one before, and then he wanted to switch it to Had Some Help by Morgan Wallen. And then he texted us. He's like, I fucking hate that song now. So he's not going to do that. But he's a very Bassett likes to change his mind a lot with things. I could tell. Next year is going to be a completely different song for sure. Has to be.
Yeah, I mean, he probably had 6 different songs this year.
Yeah, he went High Socks.
He'll do the same thing.
And he had like 4 gloves too.
Yeah, he told us in Chicago, he's throwing his camo glove out. He just threw it in the trash. He said, "Fuck the camo glove," because he was struggling with it. And he told us now he's doing everything different this offseason. He's switching everything up. So he's big 2025 for our guy Chris Bassett. But what is your relationship like with Seabass, man? He's a 1 in a million. He really is.
Yeah, I got a good relationship with him. I honestly, man, like everybody in that clubhouse is pretty tight with one another. But yeah, me and Bass get along well. I mean, I text him pretty often. He's a big outdoors guy, so him and I go back and forth with that. Our wives are really close, and the same thing. Our kids are around the same age too, and so they're always together every day. But he's great. Yeah, the whole thing with Bass though, he's kind of crazy. He's all over the place. He's constantly switching stuff around. The whole song thing, the glove thing doesn't surprise me. That's something that he would do. So I'm sure next year he'll probably come in with, I don't know, he'll probably come in with like 7 different gloves, and he'll go out and throw 7 shutty with 12 Ks, and I don't know.
Use the same glove again.
Yeah.
He's the absolute man. But Again, talking about spring training last year, how awesome was it for you and your family to kind of see the support that Blue Jays fans had for like Toby and for you, and kind of just be able to put baseball aside and just an outpouring of love towards the Swanson family? What was that like for you to kind of see that during that tough time?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. Obviously a very difficult time, but just the support, I mean, within the organization itself, I mean, it could not have gone or been any better than how they handled it. And I'll forever be grateful for that. And so will my wife. Same thing with the fans, man. The amount of messages that we got. I mean, I think it probably took me 2 months to read through everything. Thousands and thousands and thousands of messages that we had. It's incredible. It shows you how, you know, passionate everybody is in Canada about this team. And it really shows outside of baseball that people actually, understand that, guys do have families. They do go through, real life situations, and people being, patient with that, and supportive was pretty incredible. And I'll forever be grateful for that.
It was cool, man. Just seeing him battle back. Obviously now he's playing hockey again. It was insane. It was an insane, because that was the week before we got there, and I was like, holy shit, man. Like,
Yeah.
because what was crazy about that was someone on the Phillies texted me, because they were also at the restaurant. The wives of the Phillies were at that same restaurant that like the Blue Jays wives were at.
Yeah.
And someone texted me on the Phillies, and he's like, did something happen? Like there's like a cops and stuff like that all wrapped around like this valet area. And I was like, I had no fucking idea. But then I heard that come out, and it was just my heart just sunk. It was a crazy time, but it's unreal now seeing how like he's just back to his normal self. So it's awesome to see, and especially have you bounce back the way you ended the season. It was awesome to see for the Swanson family. So we always had your back with that, man. That was a really tough time, obviously.
Yeah, no, of course, we appreciate it. Yeah, obviously, very, very lucky and very fortunate with everything, the way that it did play out. And yeah, it's fun watching them out now, skating around, playing hockey, doing all the shit that kids should be doing. So it's been good.
How's hunting season going?
It's been good. I
No
haven't
hate
gotten
this year, which is good.
Well, Blog TO's listening right
Yeah,
now,
no
and
hate
they
so
got
far, which
they
is
got
always
the
good.
fucking they got the radar locked in on Swanee's head for
was
when
just
that picture drops of him hunting. Like,
I was just gonna say I didn't get absolutely berated on social media this year by people for shooting geese or my deer. I definitely thought it was gonna happen with my deer, but no, it's been good, man. It's like I said, I love the outdoors. I always have. I grew up that way. Um, I'll probably be that way for the rest of my life. So yeah, it's kind of funny when people just immediately try to get down my throat about posting stuff, and it's like, it's who I am. You go back and you look at my page, you can see it. It's all over the place. So
I mean, you were doing it legally. It's not
yeah,
like you just went out and you're like, man, I'm just gonna go kill like 15 geese for shits and gigs, like
yeah.
just illegally. It was wild. It was a
It is
wild.
the most different thing. Like Johnny was in Nebraska, I was in Kansas. It is the most different places you could ever be when for the hunting stuff too. So always
Yeah,
fun.
I mean that's like living in a big city or living outside the city type of thing.
Yes.
It's just, I don't know. It's not everybody is raised that way or wants to do those sort of things, and I get it. Like, it is what it is. If you don't want to hunt, don't hunt. I don't have a problem with it. But if I want to hunt, don't get all pissy with me because I want to. It's just kind of it's the way it is. I do it legally. I do it ethically. Um, it's part of it, I guess.
Do you how good of a shot are you? Because at Nebraska, when I was in Nebraska, we used to shoot like skeet. We used to go skeet shooting and stuff. And some of these kids on my team, I'm like, what the fuck? Like they go like 15 for 15 on skeets and stuff like that. Are you a dog in terms of that? Like, are you a freak in terms of accuracy?
Um, with a shotgun, I mean, I'm all right, I guess. I don't shoot skeet hardly ever. When I get home, I go out and I hop in the field and I'll duck hunt or I'll goose hunt, whatever it is. What I usually practice the most is like archery, like with my bow. So I shot my deer this year with my bow. I've always been a big archery hunter. That's what I do majority of the time is try to dial in my bow as best as I can. Um, I got into this year a little bit of actually being able to do all the maintenance on my bow myself, make arrows, stuff like that. So that's what I practice most of the time with, and I've gotten pretty good with that.
And yeah, just I don't know, man. I like that. The Vlog to article was so fucking funny. I'm sure it was a last year thing, but just Bassett sending low key ricochet shots at them on Instagram. It was so fucking funny. But the last thing that I want to talk about, we never talk about another man's money. You did just get a payday. What's the first thing or the dumbest thing you're gonna buy? Like, is there like what's the dumbest thing you own then? Like, you got paid last year, you got paid this year. Like, what's something that you bought where you're like, why the fuck did I buy this? Like, it was just a dumb purchase.
Jeez, I probably do that way too often, but I mean, I don't know, man. I try to I guess not buy super stupid shit, but majority of the stuff that I buy is for like hunting. Is kind of what I do. Whether it's new guns or whatever it may be, I enjoy doing that. But I bought my truck last year. After the season last year, I bought my truck, and that's what I got. This year we have the house, so money will probably go towards the house and figure that out. And I don't know. I'll have to keep you posted because I'm sure I'll be buying something here at some point that my wife is going to be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Any goals you have set for this upcoming year? Anything we want to get back to?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, obviously individual goals. I always go into the season with my own personal goals. And for me this year again is just stay healthy, go into camp, be ready to go. And when we play game 1 of 162, be ready to go full throttle and you know, have another successful year and do everything I can so we can win games. And I think, as a team goal this year, I think everybody's on the same page. Obviously we're coming off of 2 seasons that we are not satisfied with. And I think everybody's very hungry to go out, get to the postseason again and make a really deep run. And I think you ask anybody in that clubhouse, they'll tell you the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing like the moves that are made. You're locked in here now. The bullpen's it's like 5 or 6 open spots now. This is gonna be a completely different baseball team come March 1st, and I cannot wait. I love transactions. I'm a little transaction slut, so I love seeing that shit. But I talked about the cars, and I've never asked a Jays player this. What are some of which players have some sick cars on the Toronto Blue Jays, like that are rolling in on some nice ass vehicles? I'm assuming Vladdy has a sick car. I know he has. I follow his cousin on Instagram. They're always shipping it back to Florida or the Dominican, but I know he has some nice whips.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, most everybody drives nice cars, but Barrios has a Maybach that is nasty. That car is nasty. He has that. George has got some nice cars. I mean, I think just about anywhere you go, any of your guys that have big contracts, you're going to be driving pretty ridiculous cars. I'm trying to think. Nobody has anything that's like, at least not that I know of. Some guys might have some stuff back home at their homes, and but being in Toronto, nobody brings nice cars to Toronto.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because there's a pretty decent chance they're gonna end up, in a shipping container somewhere.
Yeah, they'll get stolen for sure.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, they'll definitely get stolen. What's crazy is when I went to the Phillies parking garage when I was with Bryson, everyone on the Phillies has a Raptor. Or is that the high end? Is that like the best one? Raptor?
Yeah, Ford Raptor.
Yeah. Everyone has like a souped up Raptor, which is like the biggest wheels, the biggest rims. It's absolutely insane. But I do love seeing that shit. And spring training, you see it a lot all the time too. The players just roll in like small Dunedin ripping around in a fucking Maybach. through Dunedin. So I'm looking forward to seeing that again this year. We'll see you in the spring, Swanee.
Yeah, we're actually gonna make something happen this time.
Yeah, we'll make something happen. We had a great night with Bassett in spring training. I don't even know where we went to dinner somewhere, and we had some fun there. And then but yeah, Dunedin, you can get after it in Dunedin a little bit. You can definitely get after it in Dunedin for sure. Dunedin rocks.
Dunedin's a good spot, man. We enjoy that area. I'm excited to get down there, get some good food again.
Yep, there you go. But anyway, Swanee, like we said, man, we'll always have your back. You're one of the OG Gate 14 guys. I think you're like the third guy we've ever had on this show. So you always have a special place in our heart. You see the Swanee jersey there behind me. It's retired. It's in the rafters. We appreciate everything you've done for us, man, and we're looking forward to seeing what you do next year. The bounce back's going to be electric, and we'll be front and center. I'll be chirping people online for you like I usually do. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Thanks.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.